Hello, my name is Xavier Mercado, and this is Spearhead Conversations. Today, I'm joined by a special guest, Micah Emrich.
Woo, what's up?
Hey.
How we doing?
I'm doing great. But Micah is a vocalist out of Milwaukee. He's making waves right now. When I tell you the harmonizing, the doves that fly across the... No, I'm just kidding. No, he's a talented vocalist right now in Milwaukee that is definitely making weight. I've listened to his music. He brings this nostalgic feel of like early 2000s, of funk. And I've just appreciated all the way through the music he's making. He's making them hits, and they starting to capture the attention of world-renowned producers, world-renowned, artists in general. So I reached out, and he said yes, and here we are. So without further ado, how you doing, Micah?
Man, I'm doing great after that introduction. That was something. Yeah, I feel like every time I go anywhere, that's what should happen before I speak or anything.
For real?
Somebody should just give me that introduction.
There we go.
I'll feel great every time.
I did it for you, dude.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Oh man, so how's life going right now? You pretty busy?
Yeah, no, it's been good. Busy, working full time, music full time as well on the side. So yeah, we're grinding, man.
Yeah, man. I've been following you. I got to play ICU in the van, in the house. It's definitely the music you're making is, man. I gotta say it. Like, I see your elevation going, bro.
I see you.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. But yeah, pun intended.
Yeah, right.
But definitely, it's been great to watch. It's inspiring, and it's definitely, I'm a fan of it. So thank you for being here.
Man, thank you.
You ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So where were you born?
I was born in Charleston, Illinois, actually.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, right now, you in this city. Milwaukee is done tooking you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was born there, but I wouldn't say I was raised there.
For sure.
I moved there. I moved to Wisconsin when I was like 1.5, 2 years old with my family, and grew up like 40 minutes north of Milwaukee pretty much my whole life. So
Yeah.
I was definitely raised here, though. Yeah.
That was the same with me, like from the South Bronx here.
Mm-hmm.
But I moved when I was 6 months,
Yeah.
So Milwaukee's basically
You're like,
home.
yeah. If somebody from New York asks, you'll be like, I was born in New York.
Ah,
Yeah.
look at that. Yo, I'm from the South Bronx, B. How was childhood, man?
It was good. It was cool. My dad was a pastor growing up of a non-denominational Christian church. So it was like an interesting upbringing for me, for sure, being very heavily involved in church. My mom was the worship leader, played keys and sang vocals. So I got just to experience, I feel like, a lot of different perspectives with being heavily involved in church all the time from a really young age.
Well, I can definitely now start seeing where the music coming from.
Yeah, the soul, man.
What type of hobbies were you into growing up?
I feel like a lot of music. I played cello and taught myself how to play guitar, drums, and just a lot of different instruments. I'd always been a singer as well, but besides that, it was definitely just like sports and stuff. I played baseball up until high school. I played basketball and a little bit of football. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, music is such a big thing in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially now. But who were musical influences growing up?
I'd say the biggest influence, with no shame, is Justin Bieber. I think that he's 100%. Like
Yes.
growing up, he was really popping off when I was in middle school. When I was like 6th grade was when Baby and all that stuff was coming out. I remember everybody was kind of hating on him at first. All the guys, especially. The girls were in love with him, and the guys were like, oh. And I was part of that for about 2 weeks until I listened to his music. Yeah. And then I was like, why are we hating on him? He's great. This is what I want to be. So, he's always just been that person I've looked up to.
I am so happy that you say it with so much confidence. Yeah. Because people be acting like they're not believers.
Dude, he paved the way.
For real.
He really did.
Hey, I'm a believer. I mean, I was in, I think, middle school, high school when he came out, but still at the same time, you can't knock a voice like that. And just to see his journey and where he started and just to where he's at now. Now we're getting the more mature Justin Bieber. And with that, I mean, I'm excited like the way when I hear a JT track.
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out to Justin Timberlake, was just in the city too.
He played at the Pfizer, right?
He played at the Pfizer, and when I realized it, I'm like, dude, major fail.
Dang it, I missed out.
Yeah, right. Well, music again is such a big thing. What is your earliest memory of finding music?
I think my earliest memory had to be, I had older siblings, and they were like 4 or 5 years older than me, so I didn't really go to the same school as them a lot of times, but there was a point when I was in like kindergarten and they were in 5th grade that we were at the same school. And I remember it was recess time and I couldn't find my siblings for some reason. I don't even think that they were looking for me or we were supposed to meet up. I just wanted to find them, to hang out with them. And I couldn't find them. They were probably avoiding me because I was the little brother, like chasing them around.
Yeah, for sure.
But I was just walking around the playground, and for some reason, at some point, I was just like singing a song. I was just like writing a song in my head as I went about not being able to find my siblings or something. And it was just this like sad, somber song, but I was just so in it, and I wasn't sad when I was singing it. I was just like walking by myself in my own mood singing, I can't find my siblings. And so man, that was probably one of the first moments that I remember. I'm like, that was a silly thing.
Get it, dude. You gotta love like that, those humble beginnings, man. Like just coming from somewhere and just, family's everything.
Yeah.
Family's everything. When did you realize like music was something though that you were gonna like pursue?
I told my parents in 7th grade when they were dropping me off for school that I wanted to be Justin Bieber and that I was going to be like, that was the level of success that I was going to be at. But I think besides like that little kid like dream, I think it was when I was like 21, 22. Because after high school, I was going to do music, and I was set on that, but I didn't know how to make it happen. And through that, I kind of took like a 2-year hiatus almost, where I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I don't know how to get there. I need to figure out how to make money and just like survive right now. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't being provided to me through music. So I kind of, I don't want to say lost it, but I was chilling on it for a little bit and focused on just other life things. And then when I was 21, I had that aha moment, that epiphany, like what am I doing right now? I need to go for music. So
well, when you start taking this in the path of you want to pursue this as a career, what do you feel were those barriers you had to overcome?
I feel like, it's just finding out where to begin. That was the toughest part. Like my parents being in church, like there was some involvement in music within the church, of course, but outside of that, like to get shows booked or to get me into studios with people who knew what they were doing, who could help me cut records and stuff. That was something that we didn't know as much about. And so it was kind of like a free for all for me, where I was just figuring out as I went. And I grew up in West Bend, Wisconsin, and there wasn't much there in terms of like opportunity for music or just programs that like helped musicians like myself at a young age, like really, cultivate that or whatever. And so I think that was the toughest part, was just me being on my own in a place where there's not much opportunity for that. Yeah. And just having to believe in it, from the jump. So,
well, with the authenticity and the creativity, walk us through your creative process.
I think, it started with when I started putting out songs on Spotify. I worked at a metal shop, and it was awful working at that metal shop. I think to get through the days, I was just humming all the time. I was just walking around a machine that was cutting metal all day, and I was humming. And
kind of like you were doing before the interview.
Exactly. It's just always how I've been. Any free moment I have, I just start humming, and I feel like I latch on to catchy melodies sometimes. Then, like throughout the day, I'll find myself singing the same melody, and then that same day turns into weeks, and then a song kind of just forms itself. So that's when it started at first. But lately, when I'm working with producers and stuff, and in a studio setting where maybe there's a beat provided, it's a similar thing. I scat, I hum until I find a phrasing or a melody that I like, and I just start running with it then. So, yeah.
Well, the way I described is like this nostalgic early 2000s, like, funk. You got funk in there, grooviness. But what type of style would you classify yourself as?
I would say right now I'm sitting in like a pop soul pocket.
Okay.
It's like pop with a lot of R&B influence. And some songs really do go in that straight R&B direction, but a lot of it tends to be in that more pop soul world, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
Yeah.
I'm going to love this. I want to hear this.
It was something so corny. I was dating a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like an anniversary or something.
Yeah.
And I think the chorus of the song was me just saying like, I love you over and over again. Like something like
For
that.
sure.
Like it was, oof. It came from the heart though. So I guess that's what matters. But
man, that's all that, you know, like just thinking like how young, like because poetry was big with me growing up.
yeah.
And then obviously, because I did music too, but we went from poetry into music, but a lot with the words. So like I remember the first time I ever wrote something, it was in the 5th grade.
Oh, nice.
And
yeah.
I still got the notebook. I still got what I wrote.
That's
you know
awesome.
what I mean? And it just like looking at a 5th grade version of yourself, and it's just like, you think you know the words you're using,
right.
and it's like,
Yeah, it was pretty rough. Yeah, I think I told her I was like going to build her a tree house in the song or something. I was like,
Word.
This is...
Dude said he was going to get his tool belt out.
I was like, this is some little kid shit for sure.
Yeah. Well, you know, writing.
Yeah.
Your music is so like, again, authentic and so like different.
Thank you, man.
How do you handle writer's block? Because that's a big thing no one talks about.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just kind of push it away. And sometimes you just need to go live life is one thing. That's one way to deal with it. If I get stuck, I'm like, let me put it down and let me go hang out with some people and touch some grass.
Yeah.
So, you know, like,
yeah.
that's one thing. But like me, myself, I feel like a lot of people that I work with, they don't like to listen to the song as much as I do.
Yeah.
Like I will sit there and listen to the song, 50 times over a day, a lot of times. And I kind of consider it, I'll say I'm meditating with it right now just to see what it needs. I'm trying to let the music speak to me and figure out what it needs. And honestly, man, I just listen to it a lot of times and just try to come at it from, I think it's important too, if you have like from songwriting, if you have a common goal you're trying to work towards, because I always try and bring myself back to that. Like if I'm stuck, what am I trying to say?
Yeah.
And then I think words just start coming from there when I figure out what I'm trying to say,
Milwaukee.
Yes, sir.
Milwaukee is such a big part of who you are.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel being from Milwaukee has attributed to the success you've seen?
Man, I think it's everything. I feel like Milwaukee has underdog energy. So I've always been like hungry, I've always had to, like, we have a lot of people who are very supportive in community here that's been super helpful. And I'm so appreciative of that. But it also isn't like New York, per se. And we're like just outside of Chicago. And there's other places that have more infrastructure. But I think that it's made me hungry and made me fight for what I have a little bit more. And you can't take that away from anybody, so.
Well, these music, it's such a competitive, we're going to call it a competitive sport.
Yeah, like a healthy competition for sure. Sometimes not, but
How do you find yourself going through that, navigating through that?
I think that competition's healthy. That like point blank period. If you don't have anybody around you challenging you, or you feel like that's challenging you, then you're probably not in the right places. That's the way I see it, is that, like, not to say my friends and I are competing with each other, but when we show each other stuff, I'm sure it inspires everybody to want to go do better. Everybody, when my friend comes out with a fire track, I'm like, I want to, that it's like setting a standard for the rest of us, where we're trying to follow. So even if it's not like us trying to like, go at each other's throats per se, it's definitely still a healthy competition out there. I think it's valid. Yeah.
Well, that's how you build yourself.
Yeah.
You got to, you all have unique styles.
Yeah.
You all get in, you all want to prove yourself.
There can only be so many artists out
Yeah,
there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Do you remember the first show you ever performed?
I think the first, besides like church,
Yeah.
because I got on the stage and sang in church a couple times when I was like 12 years old. But other than that, like just me, it was like a Monday night concert series that was put on like this by this. It was almost like a DARE organization.
Yeah.
And it was really trying to be like involved with youth. And they put on, it was almost like an open mic night, but with sets.
Yeah.
So not just like I come up and play one song. I'd play like a 20, 30-minute set, and we'd have 4 artists, and then they'd have another 4 artists the next week. And they did it every Monday night, and I was a frequent person who actually went to those. So that was my first start to playing live. It was just me and an acoustic guitar too, singing. So
you ever did any talent shows?
Yeah.
Yeah? You got any stories about how you like interact with the crowd or anything?
Man, there's some inside information here.
We're there.
Yeah. So I actually performed in both the 7th grade, 8th grade, and when I was a senior talent show.
Okay.
So the first one though, 7th grade, was probably the craziest one.
For sure.
I sang "You Smile" by Justin Bieber.
Okay.
And they didn't have it was in middle school, so they didn't have a winner at our middle school because they didn't want to hurt people's feelings.
They got to keep it fair, yeah.
Yeah, so they had everybody audition for it, and then they just built like an order. And I feel like the order was definitely strategic to, maybe put the heavier hitters last. And I was the closer of the talent show, so I kind of came in there with the chip on my shoulder, I guess. Like, I know I'm about to shut this shit down. And so, I sang "You Smile" by Justin Bieber, and I like, it was kind of a crazy moment. It was almost like, I don't want to say stardom, but it was like all of the people that I went to middle school with, I don't know, like 500-600 kids, not a crazy big middle school. But, like they couldn't even announce my name when I was coming out. They were just screaming. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. Let's go. So they were screaming, and I finally get on stage, and, I'm singing, and by second verse, I jumped off the stage and I started singing to the people in the front row, and there was this line that said, "Your lips, my biggest weakness." And I touched a girl's chin in the front row when I sang it, and she literally started crying. Like I don't know if tears actually fell, but she was like, "Ah!" And I was like, "What is happening right now?" It was crazy, and that was really hype for like 2 days, and then I think everybody, I don't want to say forgot about it, but it was like on to the next thing. So
look at dude. He not only is a believer, but he is the Biebs.
Yes, sir. No, I used to have a video of it. Maybe I'll have to do some digging, and we can put a clip of it out or something.
Oh, bro.
But I used to have a CD, and that was all I had, and it's super scratched up. There, I think, is a video on Facebook somewhere of me singing at the practice talent show.
Yeah.
So, but it's not there's nobody in the crowd.
That's
so,
all. Hey, man, whatever. That's still awesome, man.
It's fun to look back on. It sucks that I ditched that CD or just didn't treat that DVD well, because it's like those are the things you want now.
Hold on to.
Back then, I was like, oh, I'll do better in 10 years. But I'm like, no, these are like the things that I want to look back on,
Well, now you're obviously more skilled. This has literally turned into a career for you. Is there any like type of pre-show rituals you have that you do before you go on?
I used to not have anything. I feel like I used to just panic. But lately I've been doing more like, I'll do a little bit of calisthenics actually. So I'll start doing like, usually the band will go down and then I'll be alone for a second a lot of times. And even if I'm not, I'll start doing like maybe 10 jumping jacks, then I'll just bust out like, I don't know, as many push-ups as I can do in that moment without like killing myself, because I got to go perform. And just get the blood pumping. So that's like the first thing that I do. And then obviously I don't want to be like sweating and breathing heavy when I go on stage. So I take a second then, and I usually like look in the mirror. And I've been doing some mirror work lately. I talk about it at my shows sometimes, where you just look in the mirror and you just kind of give yourself a pep talk. Like, you're the man, you're the shit. Like, we're going to go out there and kill it. And I think it's important because like a lot of people just don't look at themselves in the mirror enough. They don't take the time to like appreciate that person.
Yeah, it's even said it's healthy to talk to yourself because you it's a mindset. You have to build that confidence from within, because that's what's ultimately going to show. Yeah, that's what's going to gravitate these people to keep coming to see you.
Yeah, I don't want to look at other people and like want to see those things in myself. I want to be able to look at myself, and that's how I feel like insecurity just starts with stuff. So I try and make sure that I'm getting in the healthy mindset real quick before I go on, and then we run it.
Well, what do you feel, because with music, just like me, like you have your ups, downs. What keeps you motivated and driven to pursue what you're doing?
I think that I just probably because I like being the center of attention or something. I don't
at least you're real with it, dude.
I don't know. From a young age, I've always just liked performing for people. I've always walked around singing for people, and there used to be videos of me running around like a little Elvis costume and like hitting the moves and just like, I don't know, that's just always been me. So I feel like what really keeps me going is just that there's so much more to accomplish, you know, like my journey's far from done, you know? So
what's, let's talk more fan base.
Yeah.
What's most important to you when you're writing out your music in the way you connect with your audience?
I think that one thing and one phrase I'm really pushing lately is feel your feelings.
Okay.
And I think that that's valid for a lot of my music because, I mean, some songs are going to be happy and some songs are going to be sad. And so there's not something to say in terms of like the subject matter that's all going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
But the encompassing message is it's okay to be in all of those moments. You know, that's life. And I think that sometimes people just need to sit in the shit a little bit more and feel it. So,
what have been accomplishments, milestones for you throughout this journey?
My biggest accomplishments, I'd say, was last year I played Summerfest. I played Summerfest the year before that, but this time was on an official stage. So I played the Miller stage, and following that, I booked my first independent tour where I got out of the state for the first time, and I went to 4 different states, and I put that all together myself, from booking the venues to booking the different artists that were supporting me and stuff, putting the band together, the set list, all that stuff. So that was a fun part of the journey. But then, I think 2 other things that happened this year too was I got asked to open up at the rave.
Yeah.
And that was like, I got to sign the rave wall and go see the swimming pool with Mac Miller and all these people. That was like just something out of a dream. And then to end the year, it wasn't on my bingo card to get the mission approved or the mission passed with Timbaland. I went on Timbaland's live and I showcased a couple of unreleased songs to him and had him listen to them, and he was messing with all of them. So that was a really cool moment.
Can I just say this? Man. He didn't do 1 song. He didn't do 2 songs. He did 3 songs, people. And when I say this, all songs were passed by Timbaland, and he's even gone beyond that to, I mean, you've been dropping, content with IC, your new drop release, ICU, and he's co-signed.
Yeah, no, he's been resharing it and stuff, so putting it on his stories. So, I mean, the publicity is great there. I'm super appreciative of him just like seeing me, you know what I'm saying?
He's a GOAT, bro.
Yeah, no, for real. I look up to him so much. He's genuinely my favorite producer of all time. Justin Timberlake, Missy Elliott, all the classic records that he's cut. He's just been so ahead of his time, and I feel like really paved the way for artists like myself and just a lot of the artists nowadays popping off. Like you hear Timbaland in a lot of music, even if he's not on it, you know? So,
well, we were just talking about ICU. You just released it.
Yes, sir.
You're pushing it very hard.
Yes, sir.
Let's what was the inspiration behind that?
So my guy, Matt Lacey, shout out Matt Lacey. He produced the song, and he's a longtime friend and collaborator of mine. And he sent me the beat, or the loop of the beat at first. And it just had this really funky, like boom bap R&B pop vibe. It was sitting in this interesting pocket. And I did the typical thing, like I told you before, where I just start humming melodies. And I landed on a couple of words, and the first phrase that I landed on was, "You're tearing out my heart, and now I see you." And then I thought about, what if I said, instead of saying like "I see you," if I just made it "I see you" for like urgent care.
Yeah.
And I paint the whole story around like getting your heart ripped out in that way and having the double entendre there. So once I found that line and settled on that line, I took inspiration from great songs that have done that before, like Thriller and Man Eater and some of those. And I said, how am I going to tell this story in my own way? And I landed on A Vampire. So that's how we got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's something that's catchy.
Man, yeah, thank you. Man, my wife, she just sings. She goes, "Doobie doobie doobie, see you." Doobie doobie, see you.
I love it. You know what I mean? Before you even came, because set it up. You don't want to do it in silence, so I'm playing your music, and then ICU comes on, and I'm just like, man. I'm like, now I got it stuck in my head. But who have been mentor guides for you throughout this journey?
I think that's a tough one. I got to shout out my parents.
Yeah.
You know, from a young age, my dad was also a singer-songwriter, and before he became a pastor, he tore up a contract to be signed to a radio station, and he pursued the life of being a pastor. So I've definitely been following heavy in the footsteps for sure, and continuing that journey that he stops. But then other than that, my guy Bean Boy, he's the guy who mixes and masters my music. Shout out Bean Boy, Jake Henbest, he's the man. Yes, sir.
We got him in there.
He DJs for me. He's got a little thing that goes like beam boy. It's like he's got his own tag.
You're gonna have to send me the tag, bro.
I'll have to send it over.
I gotta hear that.
But he mixes and masters all my music. We linked up like 4 or 5 years ago when I was starting to put out music, and I was at a point where I was writing a lot of songs, but I had a direction I wanted to go, and I didn't have a lot of people who could help me take it there, like sonically with the sound.
Yeah.
You know? And he was one of those people, and I knew someone who was going to Berkeley in Valencia. There's like a study abroad program, if you would, where you could finish out and get your master's degree there. And he was doing that and going to school with someone who I knew who was doing the business side of things. And the business people and the production kids, they'd kind of like link up for projects. Like the business people would bring them artists and say, you should work with these people.
Yeah.
And I just so happened to be one of the artists that she brought to him, and he really liked my music, and we've just been working together since. And I think it's unlocked a lot of just doors for me to be able to take a step back and focus on my lane. You know what I'm saying? And having someone who understands my vision still at the end of the day. Because there's so many things to dive into with mixing and mastering and recording music, and it almost takes away from just the music and the creation at some time. So having someone who can give me pointers and tell me that's good as is, like, don't worry about it. We'll make that work. And all that type of stuff along the way has just been like a huge encouragement. And yeah.
Well, you know, I've noticed with your music, with your lyricism, it's deeply personal.
Yeah.
How do you balance that vulnerability with the relatability?
I think that it's a fine line, you know, because I say that because to be relatable, you need to be vulnerable. You know, like there's got to be a certain sense of vulnerability there. Otherwise, nobody's going to be able to relate, you know? Yeah. But there is a certain point where you get too vulnerable and it becomes too personal where, you know, you're just almost making a song for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's great. You can put out music that way. And a lot of people do. And some people even find success in that way because other people end up feeling the same way. But I think that you need to come at it from a standpoint, if you're trying to, like, I guess, have some commercial success in that way, like, you need to think about mass appeal sometimes too. You know, you need to take a step back and say, is this just a me problem? Or is this something that I think other people could feel too? And sometimes it's just a matter of changing a couple words, you know, and like, it seems like a me problem, but I change a couple words and now it's a little bit better of a statement for everybody else to receive what I'm trying to say, you know?
For sure.
Yeah.
Last summer, you released a project called Promises.
Yep.
And right now, I see you as a part of an upcoming project you are working on.
Yes, sir.
What is that upcoming project that you're currently working on?
Yeah, so it's just Promises for me was a stepping stone. And I feel like I had a lot of good songs that I felt like I knew a new direction I wanted to go into. But this next project is really me. I feel like I found my lane, you know? I'm really refining that lane. I worked with a lot of producers that had a lot of different musical influences than me, you know, which is great. But sometimes they try to push me in different pockets or different directions that I don't feel like I necessarily would have gone had it all been up to me, you know, from the jump. So lately I've been really finding some producers and collaborators that I really like the sound, and it feels like the most authentic. It feels like the music I've always been trying to make, you know? So we're here now and we're just running with it. I'm going to be putting out this album this whole year, dropping some singles throughout the year and giving everybody a taste of what's to come. Yeah.
Well, let's you brought up collaborators.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk collaborations. Let's talk, you know, Milwaukee is a beautiful place for creatives.
Yes, sir.
That people could tap into this, you know, this aura, this atmosphere.
Yeah.
It really is. Who are some collaborations you've, with your music that you've had?
So I'd say mostly producers.
Okay.
For the most part. Shout out Key Lime. That's the man right there.
Hey,
That's
somebody,
the goat.
if it's gonna be you, because Zonk told me about key lime.
Yep.
And then you told, like, I remember in the early stages coming up to this interview, you mentioned key lime.
Yep.
And then my dear friend Alicia, even a lot of people have.
He's working.
Yeah, he's working. Somebody need to get me a hold of key lime. You hear this?
Yes. No, we could definitely. We'll get you a hold of key lime. It's funny because key lime and I, we both have like. I mean, he has like darker hair than mine, but we have like long hair and we have like we're like similar height, so we'll joke that we're each other.
Hey, can I be real?
What?
I nicknamed you Jesus.
It's not the first time, bro. It's not the first time.
Oh, man. But yeah, go ahead and go on about collaborations. So key lime.
Yeah, key lime. I've had Bean Boy, like I said. That's my main man. Mixing and mastering my music. I got my guy Matt Lacey. He's been producing a lot of songs from the jump, like going back to my first records up until all the way through Promises. He produced ICU as well. So, and then I don't know, man. I'm starting to work with some other artists. I just started working with this guy Richie Allen. Have you ever heard of him?
Of course, we had him on the platform.
You had him on the platform?
Yep.
Richie's a super cool dude.
Country.
Yeah, country pop. He's doing something different. I like that. He's got the country pop. He's got the R&B country crossover stuff.
He found it on TikTok. I'll give him that. You know what I mean? Yeah, he did the CMAs.
Yep, exactly. I mean, that's,
you know what I mean?
Like nuts. You know,
he did the festival. But yeah,
he's
definitely
playing Summerfest this year. He's opening at an amphitheater. So
with my boy Riv, we can't leave out Riv. My boy Riv, he's another artist out here country that actually they were a duo in the beginning.
Oh, okay, yep.
And since then they've gone and done their own thing. But Riv, shout out Riv.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely that's cool. Richie Allen.
Yeah.
Sheesh. All right.
Yeah, no, him and I are probably going to be doing some stuff in the future. So
okay,
we'll see what happens.
Gotcha.
You know,
is there any artists that you can mention at the moment?
Maybe not at the moment.
Okay,
we'll see once things get more finalized, I guess, with stuff. But like, I'm working with a lot of cool people for sure.
Okay. Man,
oh,
dude.
Yeah,
but that's cool. That's cool. You know what I mean? And this is what it's about, bro. Like the atmosphere in Milwaukee, we all just need to understand it takes a village. Yeah. You ain't gonna make it out here on your own. You need people. You need that. You need to, and it just create the atmosphere.
Yeah, for real. So, also, I just want to say shout out my guy Dwayne, Johnny B.
Okay.
My wife Leslie, everybody, they're all collaborators of mine as well. So I just want to make sure everybody's included here for sure. Yeah, they're the homies.
Well, you know, going forward, what are you hoping for to be your legacy?
Man, I want it all. No, not. I mean, I don't need to be like a billionaire or nothing like that. You know, I'm not trying to achieve like levels of success. I feel like that maybe I'd have to like step over other people, but I just want to make a name for myself.
Yeah.
I feel like the music's at a point now where I'm ready to get my name out there and for the world to see who Micah Emrich is. So I would love to be a household name, just like the people that I grew up loving: Justin Bieber, John Mayer, different people like John Bellion, Ed Sheeran, Bruno Mars. All those people were just big inspirations growing up. So it's what I want, you know.
Well, let's reel it in a little bit. Where do you see yourself in the next 5?
Next 5 years? Man, I don't know. It's a tough. I've been trying to do more like 1, 3, 5, 10-year planning, all that type of stuff. But it's tough to gauge. I mean, I want to say, like, potentially with more backing behind me, like a bigger team, bigger support. I don't know if that means label or anything, just because I don't know where the industry's headed. I feel like that's why it's tough for me to say right now where the industry's at. It's this weird, you don't know if things are going to move more towards labels being less involved, and people have been doing more things independent lately. So, but I see my songs being very well known. I think that in the next 5 years, I'm going to have a hit out there for sure. So.
Well, you know, this is always, for me, the most important part of the interview because our youth is very important in the city. So what advice would you give to our youth as well as aspiring artists such as yourself? I
think that the biggest thing is that you just got to keep on pushing. Like, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to tell you, you know, this isn't, or just not believe in it. I got picked on a lot in 6th grade. I tell you all these stories about middle school and these fun stories, but I got picked on a lot, you know, and there's a lot of people who didn't believe in it. I remember senior year of high school, I told somebody, said, what are you doing after high school? I said, I'm going music. That's what I'm doing. And they're like, you're putting all your eggs in the basket for music?
Sheesh.
You know, and you can, she didn't say it, but you can feel the disbelief.
Energy.
She doesn't, they didn't think I could accomplish that. And
look at you now.
You can, you know, and it just takes you believing in it. You got to be the first person to believe in it and just show up every day, because there's going to be a lot of highs and lows. I tell people, I've had somebody reach out to me who was having a lot of success early on, and they're like, I feel like I'm having too much success early on. I said, enjoy it, because shit comes and goes.
Yes,
and
it does.
You just got to keep on working, though, at the end of the day, because the thing that I've learned the most is that you take an L, right? You take a big L, and it feels like everything is lost, or you feel like maybe I should quit right now. But I promise you that your next big W is right around the corner, and the universe is just seeing if you're going to keep working at it. You know what I'm saying? And if you keep working at it, you're going to be ready for those opportunities. But if you don't, you're not, and you're not going to be able to capitalize on them. So just keep showing up every single day and just be the best you can be. And I think that's all there is to it, you know?
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, brother, I appreciate you so much making time, coming here, sharing, you know, you know, and that to me is authentic. What are ways people can connect with you?
You can connect with me on social media. I'm on all social media at Micah Emrich Official. So it's just my name. I'm sure we can spell it somewhere, so I don't need to.
It'll be a lower Thursday, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But at Micah Emrich Official on Instagram, TikTok, I think even my YouTube channel, all that stuff. So make sure to go follow me. I'm probably the most active on Instagram and TikTok. Yeah. If you guys want to shoot me a DM, I'm not someone who's not going to respond to DMs. So
and who knows? You might see him running around the city with a phone and making content.
You most definitely will. Yeah, I'm always running around like downtown shooting a video. My buddy, it's funny you say that. The other day, one of my coworkers, actually, I was on a brief break and I was running back to work. But on the way from my car to the work building, I was like, I'm going to shoot a quick TikTok. And it was just me sprinting with holding the camera, singing it, and I was just sprinting, doing it. And my buddy was like, I saw you sprinting outside. Where were you running from? I was just shooting a TikTok. We're not running from anything. So.
What do you mean? I was running towards the future.
Yeah, right. Not running from. No,
Well, again, man, I appreciate you, man. And just, you know, it took some energy to get here, but here we are. And, you know, I'm a fan for life, man. And any way we could collaborate in the future, I definitely would love it. I appreciate you so much. And with that being said, Spearhead out.